Hello everyone, welcome to session 1 of LTEC 782, Design-Based Research in Education. My name is Dan Hoffman, and I will be your cloud-based virtual instructor in this 6-week asynchronous summer course. Now, I know just about everyone registered for the class, but just in case I haven't met you, my background is in instructional technology and media, and I've been involved in education for about 20 years at this point, and I've worked at every level from pre-K all the way up to graduate school. My research interests have to do with designing digital environments, and I've done quite a bit of that across content areas, age groups, and different educational settings. If I was to create a Venn diagram of myself as a professional, it would involve being an educator, a researcher, and a developer. Now that you know a little bit about me, let's take a closer look at the course itself. As an advanced methods course, LTEC 782 has 2 goals. The first goal is to introduce you to different design-based research methods used in education research. The second goal is to provide you with experience in defining, planning, and articulating a design-based research study that's applicable to your area of interest. Now, we're going to do a lot of things this semester, and I've got some really great activities planned, but all of those elements are designed around the following learning objectives. In other words, by the end of the semester, as a student in this class, you should feel comfortable meeting these 6 objectives, which are outlined in the course syllabus. Now, depending on your background, you might be wondering, what exactly is design-based research? Well, Arthur Baker, a professor in the Netherlands, says the following about design-based research. He writes, "Most educational research describes or evaluates education as it currently is. Some educational research analyzes education as it was. Design research, however, is about education as it could be, or even as it should be." Now, you're probably thinking, well, great, that's interesting, but that's not really a definition. So let's take a look at a formal definition of design-based research. McKenney and Reeves define design-based research as a genre of research in which the iterative development of solutions to practical and complex educational problems also provides the context for empirical investigation, which yields theoretical understanding that can inform the work of others. And we'll read more about that in this week's readings, but that is a working definition of design-based research. Now, one thing that I want to point out to you is you may have run across design-based research in the past under a different name, and that's because of the diverse history around design research. And some of the other names that scholars have used include developmental or development research, design experiments or design experimentation, design-based research, educational design research, and formative experiments. If you've ever run across any of these names, or in the reading that we do for this class, if you ever run across any of those labels, essentially everyone is talking about this genre of research known as design-based research. Now, let's take a minute to situate design-based research within the methodological landscape. And we can do that by talking about research paradigms, approaches and strategies, and of course, methods and techniques. Now, as doctoral students, I know you've been studying this landscape in various ways, shapes, and forms. So let's talk for a minute about paradigm. Of course, paradigms are really our general philosophical orientation about the world and the nature of research that we bring as researchers to a particular study. And Cresswell likes to call these paradigms worldviews, meaning a basic set of beliefs that guide our action. Now, below that, we actually have research approaches and strategies, and I know you're familiar with many of these, such as experimental studies, case studies, action research studies, ethnographic studies, so on and so forth. And then down below that, we have research methods and techniques, such as questionnaires, interviews, eye tracking, content analysis, narrative analysis, discourse analysis, so so on and so forth. Now, the million-dollar question, of course, is where does design-based research fit into this landscape? Well, surprisingly enough, most researchers agree that it doesn't fit neatly into this methodological landscape. And the reason is DBR is neither a methodology nor a method. It is something in between. It's a genre of flexibly using existing research approaches for the purpose of gaining design-based insights and research-based designs. And we'll be talking more about that in the weeks ahead. So with all that in mind, let's talk a little bit about the course structure. So when you first log into Canvas, you will see in the overview module some important links and information. The first link, of course, is to the course syllabus, and I encourage everyone to take a few minutes to read through that and make sure you understand the basic structure and content of the class, and please let me know if you have any questions. Second, you'll also see the link to the office hour sign-up sheet. In session 2, I will be holding office hours from 5 to 6 p.m. every Thursday evening. And so in order to sign up for office hours, please just go to this editable Google document and go ahead and put down your name, and we will meet in my virtual office. That link to my virtual office is in the course syllabus. It's also right here, of course, in Canvas. And if you want to jot it down, it's gohawaii.edu/AS3. Now, one of the things that I'd like to ask all of you to do is to please update your Canvas profile. Here's an example of a useful Canvas profile. You'll notice that this particular student has her degree level listed, her degree program in year, in other words, when did she enter her degree program, and then she provides a couple of sentences about her background. This is particularly helpful for me in order to keep track of where everyone's from and what perspectives and background experiences you might be bringing to the class. If you need help editing your Canvas profile, here's a link to a YouTube tutorial that's all about how to edit your profile in Canvas. Now, let's talk about the typical weekly structure. As I mentioned in my pre-announcement, each week of the course will always begin on a Tuesday and end on a Monday. So a typical structure will look like this. Tuesday morning, I'll release the weekly materials sometime between 9 and 10 a.m. On Thursday evening, you have the optional office hours available from 5 to 6 p.m. On Fridays at midnight, the first round of assignments will be due. And then finally on Mondays at midnight, the second round of assignments will be due. And I just want to point out in advance, because we're working in a compressed 6-week time frame, we have multiple assignments due each week. Typically, the first assignment will be due on Friday evenings at midnight, and then the next one will be due on Mondays at midnight. Now let's take a look at this as it relates to session 1. So you could see here the session 1 materials in Canvas are broken down into 3 sections. In the presentation section, you will find the link to the video presentation that I create and release each week. Below that, you will see the readings that are required and or optional for a given week. And then down below that, you will see a list of all of the assignments that are due in a given week. Now, pay attention to those due dates for each assignment to figure out which assignments are due at Friday at midnight and which ones are due on Monday at midnight. Now, I want to wrap up by simply looking ahead. You'll see in the syllabus that one of the main outputs of this course will be a design-based research proposal that you will write over the course of the next 6 weeks. Now, the purpose of this is to advance a DBR study applicable to the domain that you're interested in. Now, this proposal won't be very long. It's only 6 to 8 pages, double-spaced. Now, I'll be introducing the criteria for this proposal, which we will read in session 3. That criteria comes from chapter 8 of the McKenney and Reeves text. Now, I'm sharing all of that with you now because I want you to be thinking about a practical and complex educational problem that you want to address through design-based research. So I want you to be thinking about that the next couple of weeks as we slowly move forward. And remember that design-based research is about education as it could be or even as it should be. And with that, we're out of time for today. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you in Canvas.